Друзья, перевод этой сессии будет только на радио. Если вы смотрите на сцену, то слева около стола благословения сидит переводчик. Если у вас нет оборудования для радио, садитесь поближе. Радиус охвата 50 метров, поэтому тоже все равно поближе садитесь.
To jeszcze po polsku. W trakcie tej sesji tłumaczenie będzie w gąpie na bieżąco. Tutaj po prawej stronie, jak patrzymy na ołtarz, jest Artur. Możecie usiąść obok niego i posłuchać tłumaczenia na bieżąco, na żywo.
Senamje mendo jemban chöye rimban demban tona mi demba meba debe maba nam ngombara gawa shira seje mendo wa donam lan sewa meba sanje damje jedo chanje zemba nanje ja babe gaza nanje jaba nyangye lende Chongre den zhawa nanjian deba ye ba de me ba bo ba sam ye me ja ba song nam ba da yang ye ba gu zhen da we zhen me zhe ba gu ceng ba me ba da ba da ge ma gu ba su da ge nye wa ma gu sung me ba da da ma de wa dong la da le nam ba zhe wa peng ba da le ra da nam ba zhe wa ka nam la mi Nam dam ba dan do ba na xin zai zhe ba yong zan do wan da le nam ba zhe ba zi ba le zhe wan shi wa le ga yi jie yong zan zo ban de ba da ma zhen ba dan da dan zhe we san jie zhen dian dian nam jie yi jie la ne yang ye le de ba la mi ne ba yang dang ba nie jian ta la ne ba sim jie dam jie zi be sa la zhe ba de da三界正殿天界各界为原点杨道吧那所当别是呢当门给我把的给他们给我的上班现在上班马天吧用算早吧用算早吧用算上外正殿的这里吧送我杨道吧早晚年灭吧地界外灭吧年外东外天东外蓝的用吧给吧呢四四人给日巴加万正殿地界送月成都瓦列巴东巴列巴加万左边长者绕不来几巴米天巴米全都巴当天巴天巴有万九万九万我。提巴金巴跟着呢，列不来几巴，人不来几巴，长不来几巴，吞不来几，他们这边我孙就巴，这边我孙就。三南界八界行应用孙就爱金本金边的孙就把滚的，金边的孙就万金木。上次我的姐姐小巴南，其实也让我也是我。给我中西带给介绍我他们建造将这件我早些不些中些面到那热那些年点间印度面的不外因这个南大进来这把说人家南家上班的落叶接着接着其中多么的把人去见和老个人的
Good afternoon. I hope all of you are well. And then also welcome to all the viewers. Once again, it is a great pleasure to be with all of you to study, yes, to study this precious Buddha Dharma. And so through this, I hope you'll be able to receive something that is at the same time meaningful and also very uplifting, inspiring. So this is my wish. And yes, and then the other hope, which is quite consistent, is that I hope you have had some time to reflect on the root text, and then also on the commentaries of this literature by Shantideva. For those who are not so familiar, then the title of this literature is once again none other than Bodhicaryavatara. The way if he had a hidden camera, let's say, on a truly realized being, then, or in this case, anyone, then we will be able to just sort of watch or witness how this person behaves, goes about their daily life, Oh. Okay. Ashes. Yes. Speaking of ashes, a lot of thoughts come into mind, but this is not the place, so therefore I will not talk about it. But that's the meaning of ashes, holy. Anyway. Why do we throw ashes away? It's something to do, probably it has something to do with impermanence and the acceptance of impermanence, and therefore it's sort of life-giving, color-giving or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very hopeful that all of you had a good space to read, both on the root text and the commentaries. I've said it in the past, and this is something that I repeat. It's not something coming from my own. I'm repeating what my predecessors have said, is that such literatures are, in order to develop a relationship with such literature, meaning to understand, in simple terms, you just need to keep on reading again and again. Yes. And because at a glance we may be able to understand, we think we understood something, but it is not the case. So reading meaning is not just being able to develop a technique to be able to read, 2-3 books a day or something. But instead, it is still very, very remarkable. We cannot demean such thing. To be able to have that kind of habit, to form such habit, to read, whether it is due to the hype that I'm in a book club or something, still is very, very remarkable. It's something very respectable, because now reading, reading, basically meaning from reading from the first page until the last page. Such thing is becoming a rarity more and more. We just like to read maybe a certain page or the highlights of it and nothing more. Yes. So therefore, to be able to have the habit to read is wonderful. Yes. But in this case, such literatures are, they have a unique quality, one could say, that at a glance, if you read, you may be able to pick up a few things that might be intriguing, according to the mood we are in. But beyond that, it's difficult. Yes. So therefore, it's like natural medicine, one could say. Natural medicine, I did say this on the first day, right? I did. Yeah. Because it doesn't stay in your body. Yeah. That's the thing. And so therefore, we don't really have to overload our organs to flush out, or particularly the kidney to flush out things. Because it just doesn't stay there, And instead, it's just maybe that's not so inspiring, that idea, but anyway, it's just my idea. I have some, I'm hoping that I have some liberty to say strange things, not too provocative. And so in this case, I think it's a case where it's helpful because it's not there to take hold, some foreign visitor to take hold, like a parasite or something. Instead, the more you take it, the more you sort of develop a relationship. But this should not contradict with so far the verses that we have gone through, that we should refrain from developing a relationship. So I hope this is not contradicting. This is more to do with, as long as from our own temporary state, let's say, that we have certain ideas that if I get into this activity, into this movement, into this activity, then I have a sense of belonging. In short, stems from the idea of me and mine. But in this case, it has nothing to do with it. The medicine's nature is such that it's supposed to do just one thing: cure whatever ailment is there or illness is there, and that's it, and take not sort of linger there a little bit and then seek for credit or something like that. Instead, it just does its thing and just goes away. So, reading, meaning through the vehicle or through these methods of, as we say, listening, Töpa Samba Gomba in Tibetan, Tö Sam Gom, Tö as in listening, Sam as in whatever you have listened to, you reflect on it, and Gomba as in terms of now focusing on that, and it can be through any of these channels that we basically read, So we read, or we don't have to complicate ourselves like that. It's just simply read, yes. And the more we read, without getting attached to it, meaning, oh, I love this chapter, or I love this subject, and the others are sort of some things that, some chapters that I have to get involved with, even though it's kind of annoying, but this is the one. So not in that sense. It's just the more you read, you'll realize that each chapter is incomplete in a way without the other. And before you know it, if you have read enough of in this case, the Bodhicaryavatara, and including this chapter, the 8th chapter, starting from the first, if you have read enough, then the 9th chapter won't be that difficult actually. Even though it's in some ways maybe quite hyped up, that's the borderline, or that's where it's not wrong, of course, because the 9th chapter seems to define what is Buddha Dharma and what is not, because till the 9th chapter, all previous 8 chapters are sort of quite common among psychology, therapy, health, social health, religious ideas, philosophies, and so on. It's almost common. It's almost identical, and therefore it's possible for us to think that I have read this before, I have heard of this before, I've been there, done that sort of thing, and therefore somehow fast forward, let's say, to the juiciest part, one could say. But if you do that, then actually the 9th chapter would become very, very difficult. Then there is an added pressure, actually, to understand it, because we're almost treating it as if it is something completely foreign, not of our own. And then we may be developing lots of strange ideas, about empty from my side, empty from the right side, left side, and so on. So, therefore, the more we read, in short, the better it is. Without having to identify that this is where I belong or something, in short, it's the best friendship we can ever develop, like how my predecessors have said, that This is one very special friendship that we will develop because it doesn't demand, you see. It doesn't demand anything from you, physically or mentally or emotionally. Instead, simply because it doesn't demand anything from you, therefore it's very free-flowing, you know. And therefore there is this no notion of I owe you, you know. I have to pay tax or something. Of course, in that sense, owing, when we talk about the chapter of purification within the Bodhicaryavatara, it almost feels like as if, we have to regret, we have to confess, we have to purify, as if I owe it so much to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and so on. But it's just a figure of speech. There is no owing of any kind. Because even from our side, you know, we dedicate our merit to all sentient beings just to please the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you know, that sort of idea. If there is a truly existing, you know, like a separate entity called Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then maybe it's something. But otherwise, all of these are just skillful means, you know. The refuge, starting from the refuge tree, all the way to the Guru. These are just skillful means, so therefore obviously there is no expectation actually, yes. But it's trying to base, and these methods are skillful because it's trying to base on our the emotional habits that we were so used to and make the best of it, trying to make the very best use of it. And so therefore we use that habit of thinking that, I owe so much to you, you gave me so much time, energy, confidence, all of it, and I betrayed you, you know. And as a result, not really doing much good, actually, because there is no expectation, there is no other side. So, in this case, if you can think of it in that way, okay, why did I talk about the chapter of purification? There is no... Yes, there's no expectation, yes. So, there is no expectation at all, yes. It's just... meaning that there is no owing, yes. Yeah. You don't owe anything. So that doesn't mean that we are all cut off, okay? That we are all cut off and we are just sort of bouncing in space or something like that. As if there is no gravity and just going, I don't know. Like, I don't know, hamsters in space, you know. It's nothing like that. Instead, it's very, very practical, that's the thing. In this sense, maybe we can say it in the true sense of the word, user-friendly. because it's usable, yet at the same time very friendly. So therefore I hope you've had some time to read. Like I said, the English translations are wonderful translations, and there are lots of other languages used to translate this literature. I'm sure they are wonderful, but probably the second languages that are being used to translate this literature are maybe based mainly on English, and so therefore maybe it becomes like a cousin, and therefore not really have that intimacy in a way. Yeah. So that's something to consider. And therefore probably if any one of us have any kind of interest, out of linguistic habit, or coming solely from seeing the benefit of the Buddha Dharma, if you have interest in making the Buddha Dharma known to oneself and for others, then yes. In some ways, learning Tibetan has then a purpose, yes. But otherwise, Tibetan language is completely and utterly useless. Oh, yes. No, but I don't care. It's true. Yes. It's completely useless. It's not good for business. Tibetans might take pride. I mean, of course, not this, but we might think that our language is very sophisticated, that we have produced the most sophisticated political system and so on. No, far from it. If that was the case, we owe it to Buddhism, Knowing Buddhism, it kind of gave us the insight of the human psychology and of the many human psychological spheres. One, obviously, is that of the political world. And so, therefore, maybe we may look as if we are very learned and well versed with politics, but we are not. We are terrible. We are hopeless. But what one thing our language is good at is either by fluke or by circumstances or by aspirations, by karma, by good merit. Our language so far seems to be one of the very best in preserving Buddha Dharma. Yes. And so in that sense, it's worthwhile to invest some time if we have the interest. No pressure. Yes. No pressure at all. Why did I talk about this? No idea. 10 seconds ago it disappeared. Centuries ago it disappeared. What? Huh? Reading book is better possible. English, yes. English is a wonderful language, yes. It's good for business. Yes. I mean, it's the universal language, you know. I mean, can you imagine if Tibetan language was a universal language? How many spelling errors we will make? Already English is making so many, language errors in spelling. But Tibetan, my goodness, yes. So, yes. Well, speaking from that perspective, then it may intrigue us to kind of appreciate also all these varieties. Yes. So many different languages, so many different cultures. It's not that they were designed to specialize in certain things, never. If I was a linguist, I could probably come up with, if I had a good sense of humor, combined with that, I could come up with wonderful linguistic jokes, But sadly, I cannot. But in short, it's, I don't know why it's called the Chinese whisper. I don't know how that came into being, that saying. But basically, whisper, whisper, chatter, chatter, rumor, rumor. It's something like that, I guess, And we are practically born mute, in a way, yes. And from that state, then we begin to sing da, da, di, di, and so on. And then we begin to, in terms of, from a linguistic point of view, then to make it very user-friendly, and then we kind of say, okay, in this case, for the few of you, or maybe the many of you, who have spent some time with our late Professor Simpa Dorje, you would have learned wonderful and beautiful things, actually, yes. Because he was able to just go on and on about these subjects. I used to be more interested in those subjects than the Buddha Dharma that he was trying to convey, actually, which is more important, But probably that was his skillful means of making me intrigued. Either way, sorry. Oh, that's spicy. I try to keep the candies not on the side of my cheeks, so that it doesn't look unpleasant. So instead, I try to create a pouch like monkeys, where they normally keep it here. Yes. So since I don't have the luxury of such pouches, I try to keep it under the tongue. So therefore, I look okay. But this is a spicy one. Where was I? For the life of me, I don't remember too. Yes, language, yes. And so therefore it's very interesting. Um, the one could say the artist, the artist of language, because often we would direct translation maybe something like the director or the teacher or the CEO of language or something, or the linguistic institution or something. But probably it's more appropriate to say from my ear, or easier for my ears, is the artist. Then they're able to see according to our geographically, and according to the diet we have, according to the lifestyle we have, then accordingly they make each of those muffled sounds into, tune them in such a way that it's sort of sensible, and calculate them enough so that it's easy to say 2 plus 2 is something something. Of course it's made up, yes. And therefore language is unformed, of course. And yes. And so going back to the roots, reading is important. Reading is very important. The more we read, then something will come. So now around which chapter we are? We are in 43? 49. Yes, 49, I remember, 49. So, I will read a few lines in Tibetan. Sene jikbo nilena shangdang kachu jongjuna tele shangla mega chen kachula ju jichirga shingbal re nanjamba yang hela gawa mejiba tingan zapa mayi dode me zangwala mong dode nyemba mongba nam shingbal re nanjamba da nyabo jawa minu shetela chowa tatoji kate me zang chamina ruze jubi derwala shayin damji shajaji yenchu jichir pangdun chu chunye me zang mang yoba Thaye lachu tenchuje misang jaba jendalaya misang kambendo bachi dana Shantideva gashi redan tawarndo na ko seme paye ranji shanen joko jimendo ndobe semgang yimbade redan tawarmeno la kanshik nude shibame tumenchude jishikcha misang ranjin jenjule meda ngonsa mecheyi aranye mizanyi yimba topur menyo ngonsa che Tindal nizir jichewe pama yondo panene mezang shenpe sembene mezang zebla jichirga sacho mezang gikoba kate rebar mendona kanlen tene chongwayo lula chetar chorega kate mezang chemena mezang shingle junju chin teyi saben tejeba jencho jichir pandanjo mezang lejo mezang sin chungo chunde mejel Mizang mangi rangjile mizang jeba ndobar che chöne rani mizang na meme jeba medaji mizang jeba mizang na kampe jinyang ndobar che kabura la so yiwa dan lechen takam tsumang kachu jiyong boba sayang mizang zoto zobur jul kate mizang dendreba unsum ju jan tesu na tucho tato probele mizang jiyang tabar che 강남 법에 가지는 집어침부 진주로 시장 제대로 되는 지신 가와 제원주 룰라 급여에 대한 전된 소인 예만 연지 지이진달라 지이진나 잡어지 가대 런전 등하면 들라 맞을려면 지금 때문에 세보다 지대들라 대심그 근데 대심 전된 룰란들아 지신 좀 연지 지이진달라 지이진나 잡어지 가대 따선령도 소적 지지 남지지 Gopil Lucha Rajan, Chevan Jipan, Rongan, Nepin Senjin, Tembe, Teacher, Chidorochi, Dalam, Ombin Bepai, Nebe Sand, Kundun Tru, Rugon Bashin Donin, Tutre, then the Union, Yorugon, Gitapi, Tongi, Tutre Lagam, Tedra, Mezanjibo, the Remember, Menet. Tedun Rebecca, the Nyala Sopan, the Chiban, Femin, Talabana, Jed, the Chide. So by it to not gain the Pichicha. Ludin Bakachi, Niranachi, on the Chimdo on the Chipolo, Rodandra, Nyawachi. So till 72, I've read intermittent. So now we are about halfway, I think. Yeah, pretty much. So now through these passages, in order to make it really lively and digestible, probably we shouldn't be in a temple. We should probably in some random hall and have a stand-up comedian to explain these verses, in order to make it more lively and digestible and understanding, So, yes, that's how strange it is, our psychological state. But I kind of gave a bit of a lead up already, I think, in the past few days, talking about the idea of for jhana or dhyana, something. Two main enemies, yes, or so-called two enemies. Maybe they are necessary enemies or something. Nevertheless, those are known as anyway, let's just say it in this way. The factors that makes our mind deviate and disperse, or of course, the English term is distract. Yes. So therefore, that focus is just sort of, it's not really to say narrow, but basically it's the opposite of concentration. And probably the most natural term in English we have is distraction. Yes. And so therefore we can easily get distracted. And the other is that the other extreme. In order to compensate distraction, then we kind of become, what's the opposite term for introvert? Extrovert, yes. So it's something like that, extrovert and introvert, And so introvert is probably more linked to the idea of avidya, and then the other aspect, the extrovert, extrovert is then maybe referring more to attachment and anger, So, either way, these two are sort of the two main enemies, the things that makes us, just get distracted too much, or simply have no energy, no interest at all to move forward at all, and just simply get bogged down. Yes. So, so in the case of if we are getting too distracted, now, good news, first of all, is that we are not bogged down, But the bad news is that now we are too distracted. And so, in this case, in these chapters that I've read, these verses that I've read, refers to this idea of distractions that seems very pleasant, actually. Seems almost harmless. From any angle, we will not feel that this is harmful, this is destructive, And there are, of course, literatures for those who are, let's say, too absorbed in that kind of distraction, the so-called pleasant distraction. There are literatures that focuses on at least hoping that it will be of some benefit for social order. There are such literatures also. So we cannot completely say such literatures are bad or demean them or anything. But it's probably more based on social order. But in this case, in the case of Buddha Dharma, it's not saying that we're not carrying the social harmony and so on. But nevertheless, we are very curious, very interested in understanding all forms of distraction, and even no matter how pleasant they may be, So therefore, it could very well start from the idea of friendship, which we have covered quite a bit in the last few days. Yes, that from a social point of view, because we are social animals, or not that we are, but we are in this context, and so therefore it's almost impossible not to interact, not to mingle, not to connect. And so therefore, obviously we will try to engage this activity the best we can, yes, or the best we can learn, starting from our parents. How to be good friends, starting from, yay high, give your toy, or share your toy, or I don't know, dance together or something, And so from there, that's all we know, that's all we can learn. And then slowly, then the idea of friendship, this connectivity, this bond, either through that education we think this is it, or through by saying, on my own, I have understood how to go around or how to go about this social interaction, and then we begin to basically develop all kinds of ideas, and some of them may be even helpful at times, of course, and become even popular, and becomes popular enough for others to try to emulate and so on, follow, Either way, we develop all of these interesting ideas, about what is pleasant and so on. But all the while, the more we focus on this idea of something that is pleasant or something that is nice, something that is harmless, without almost knowing. Maybe we do know, but maybe it's possible also that we are, in the sort of pursuit of becoming more aware, vidya, of something pleasant and nice and healthy, helpful and so on. Without knowing, we could be sort of making a sort of larger contrast of the opposite, and therefore create more and more avidya, the lack of sight, lack of vision or something. Commonly we know it as ignorance. Meaning creating that opposite stronger and stronger almost without knowing. And it's kind of like a very strange preparation, because sooner or later we will get kind of fed up or tired or disappointed with the very thing we have cherished that we thought is harmless. And as soon as we have sort of experienced that, or at its, to our very core, we have already pre-planned without knowing the other extreme to jump into, sort of thing. It's very strange. So in this case, distraction, yes. So here, then we are trying to focus on how interesting it is actually that we use various, whatever tools we can find. In a way, it's like discovery, that normally we think, or from time to time we will think that I'm not maybe wise enough, or I'm just average, I don't really have much means, I'm not skillful enough, and so on. But when it comes to realizing some form of discovery, or in this case some form of distraction, then it's actually quite a discovery to realize that actually we are quite resourceful. We will use all kinds of ideas, notions, philosophies, religions, morality even, to justify how it's simply okay to pursue this, pursue this form of distraction. Yeah. So I'm trying my very best to put it in a very professional way by talking about power, fortune, fame, something more universal, you know. But the verses itself states more on the sort of the most obvious form of aspect of destruction, yeah, or object of destruction, one could say. But I think if we talk about power, fortune, fame, probably it all includes there. Yes. So what are we after? You know, in terms of distraction, good health. You know, obviously youth comes into being. Health, youth, then fortune, you know, meaning coming from, I don't know, a good family, wealthy, intelligent, educated, or not educated, I don't know. And then meaning of obviously well known or something, you know. In short, probably now we can narrow it down or simplify it down to good genes, you know. Like we can use discovery channels to now complement this idea that animals choose good genes for their next generation. The males try to be as they put a lot of effort to show their quality of gene, and the female try to pick from the best of the genes and so on, you know. So yes. So all those ideas are there, you know, and that we can use just to sort of say, okay, this is the most ideal lifestyle. So now Shantideva is basically focusing on the very details. And probably, like I said, in the past few days, focusing on the very basis of what makes a good health, for example, if you are interested in good health, you know. Obviously, if you are interested in the next generation, probably one of the first things that comes to our so-called civilized world is that of health, yes? So that there is a healthy, you know, gene pool or something. And so, health, yes, very interesting. It's a very, very fine line, health. Yes. What is health made of? From a Tibetan medicine or from that northern Asian north and northeast sort of idea of medicine, because south, whereas here in India, obviously has another great range and a perspective of medicine, which I don't know quite well. Not that I know anything about Tibetan medicine, for that matter. But the rough idea is that a good health is a combination of, what is it? I don't know, because I'm not a doctor, I don't even know the right terminology. But good air, good good kidney, is it? No. Oh, good bile. Good bile and mucus. mucus. Phlegm, yes. Good phlegm. Good phlegm, good bile, and I don't know whether you can call it qi or lung, which is the Tibetan term, lung, or simply air or energy or whatever it is, yes. If you have a good, balanced state of that, then we can call ourselves healthy, and good enough to propagate, or something like that. And therefore, you see, it's a very interesting subject, actually, I think, even to learn Tibetan medicine, which is not, of course, reserved only within the Tibetan culture. Actually, it borrowed a lot from both from India as well as from China, actually. But all in all, the balance of these three things, if you convert them into more on the psychological aspect, then in terms of traditionally saying from its confused state, that's the proper traditional way of terming them, I think, is none other than desire and its opposite, the opposite of the reaction of facing something unpleasant, anger, and then timuk, which is sort of a state that is not sober, just intoxicated. Yeah. Probably intoxicated because having bounced too much between the two, between the pleasant and the unpleasant state of mind. So, yes, someone who has more. Oh yes. How do we connect those three? Desire is bile. Wow, yes. So there's a certain part of our kidney that is desire linked to desire. How strange is that? And yes, then the air, the mood or something, then connected to anger, yes. And then the mucus, then obviously connected to desire, timuk, ignorance. And so, of course, we can view this in any way we would like, we can justify. There's no right or wrong way of naming them. But the point here, from my point of view, what makes it interesting is that what we think is desirable, let's say simply from the point of health, it's very strange, yes. All of these three elements, one could probably put it that way, as soon as there's an imbalance, then that's it, trouble. And then we have to either start calling for doctors, or we have to start praying. Suddenly, very strong Guru Yoga, or suddenly, what was that idam? Medicine Buddha, All of a sudden, then we become very resourceful, But till then, all is well. But if we are kind of content with that kind of health, that is still something. of course, from a worldly point of view, it's still respectable, Someone is content with his or her own state, we can say, Someone aged well, someone lived well, someone lived a very respectable life, and so on, But often it is strange that we are not content with that, of course, with that health. And we are sort of, not that we are, but often it is a case where the search for disease or the imbalance of those three elements are almost imminent, immediately. Maybe it's through the desire of dessert, excessive dessert, too much sugar, or too much rich food, and or other things. Yes. Anyway, all those things that I said so far in the last 10 minutes, were they boring or so? Sorry? They were distractions. It's possible, yes, it's possible. Nevertheless, maybe it would be less of a distraction if we just word by word translate the verses, which might seem very grotesque, actually, yes. But it's not meant to do that, of course, yes. It's really stating how we are so, attached, I suppose, to the current layer of the onion. Yeah. Obviously that very layer of onion will wrinkle, gets oxidized, in short, yes. And not only that, but we could think, if I could only be a lizard, or a snake, then I can just peel off this layer and then once again come out beautiful or something. But it's not exactly the case, yes. Instead, just as the outer layer, first of all, it's a reference to the inner layers also. It's only a matter of time. On the other hand, simultaneously, something's happening to the core as well, even though there is, by now we know that there is no real core, And so therefore, no matter how much we try to peel that, it's just not going to satisfy us. Okay, let's say a friendship is formed, So far, during the last few years, I felt that I knew you, but now I'm very curious about what is your, what makes you you, what makes you tick. Yes, I'm terribly interested in what makes you you, and so on. And maybe that person has, some interesting past, yes, or some may not. And for those who doesn't, it's a pressure, where to now suddenly prepare for a past and begin to come up with all kinds of stories, maybe, about who I am and so on. And so therefore, of course, now, the moment you feel that there is a past, then it gets all the more the intrigue is there all the more, and so then therefore begin to peel. Now that I have peeled you, obviously, it's sort of a echo. Yes, then you get peeled as well, and so therefore, how about you? And then we start peeling each other more and more and more. And the more we peel, probably the first sight, the first instant of peeling probably is the most exciting one, But after some time, it just becomes a rhythm, Maybe now it's the silver jubilee, to have a grand peeling or something, Of course, nobody really reaches till the golden jubilee, but but nevertheless, yes. After some time, that peeling becomes so normal that unless there is really something interesting, because initially what we wanted to peel in order to discover is probably something inspiring, maybe, But after some time, all those inspiring stories are not inspiring enough. And therefore, it's not to say now we are developing a dark humor or something, but now it's become stale. And so therefore, now we would like to peel away in order to find something, rotten, And therefore feel that you are real. You have really lived, You have substance or something, yes. But then, once again, that excitement maybe was nice, But after some time, again, it's the same thing. It's just a rhythm. Countless of anniversary of peeling, And then, therefore, you feel that. That habit is by now picked up, of course, to peel, but now there is that lack of excitement because you kind of know that it's more or less the same, unless, something comes up, And, So, therefore, in terms of peeling, then Shantideva does it in a very practical way, of course, by saying, well, visit the hospitals, visit the morgue, visit, cemeteries. Of course, nowadays cemeteries are quite beautiful, I suppose. So maybe there is not much. But maybe here still there are, such. But of course, it's not advisable because maybe for health reasons, health violations, all that sort of codes. But in Tibet, it was still okay. I think mainly because of the altitude, because it was cool. And so therefore, it was... I can hear myself clearer. Who? I see. No wonder. Yes. Where was I? Cemeteries. Yes. The cemeteries. So cemeteries. And so visiting those are interesting because it's not saying make yourself depressed, make yourselves lose hope, and don't be happy, in short. It's not saying that at all. Yes. Or say, oh, thank goodness someone is aging, or thank goodness someone is sick for my benefit. or someone died for my benefit or something. Not in that sense also, because one could think that way. Instead, to reflect on that, it's interesting, Oh yes, I was talking about Tibet, yes. So, yes, because of the altitude, I suppose, it was more natural to have quite a number of, it was a regular practice to bury the deceased according to, well, astrology, one could say. I'm not bringing up the subject of astrology to create a fascination, okay? I'm just simply stating. And so therefore, then we will have various types of burial, earth burial, sky burial, fire burial, wind, I guess it's the ashes, I guess, yes. But that's it, yes. So, earth burial, I believe there was a time where if you do earth burial, it was possible for resurrection. And therefore, there was a time where zombies were quite were quite common, yes. And it is said that the reason, actually it's interesting, if you look at these three doors, it has a what you call it, a step. Yes, a step, yes. But of course, the top of the door is quite high, of course. But normally it is supposed to be less than 5 feet, And if you have visited Tibet, you would often find doors like that. And there's a sort of a reason there. It is said that so that the zombies cannot enter your home. Because obviously, by the time they resurrect from the ground, they are quite stiff, yes. Normally, when a person passes away, normally, soon after, if the consciousness leaves the body, then that's the very moment where the body will become stiff, yes. And so obviously when they rise, they're quite stiff, And so now, of course, they're looking for a source of food once again. Maybe it's just the nervous system looking for food, I don't know. Maybe there's no consciousness or something, but nevertheless, they will roam around. And so the only protection you have, I remember terms like saying, there were warnings, not signboards, but parents would tell their children, maybe it's just ghost stories, I don't know, but nevertheless they would say things like, do not let the zombies bless you. Those days we had simple terms like blessings, Now when I look back after watching heaps of zombie films, probably it means contamination, So don't let them contaminate you or something, because maybe there's a certain virus in them, So in order to protect yourself, first of all, don't go out. Okay. That's not a zombie. But nevertheless, yes, bolt the door in such a way, because I think we also didn't really have proper ways to create hinges also, I think, not the type of metallic hinges now we have. Those days it was just all wooden, So therefore, in order to protect yourself from the so-called zombies, was to have low frame doors. Yes, so the upper frame is low and the lower frame is high, because they are so stiff, they will either trip and you can sort of bash them, or they cannot bend. So, like those, not those, like that very one stormtrooper from A New Hope in Star Wars, stormtrooper. Doesn't matter, only the fans will know. So therefore, yes, there was one zombie in Star Wars film, yes, which was that one very stormtrooper. Anyway, yes. Why did I talk about zombies now? Huh? Burial, yes, burial, yes. So therefore, I don't think there were that many practices of earth burial. It wasn't that common. Yeah. So therefore, it was often fire burial or sky burial. Yes. And sky burial is often quite interesting because now there you have something similar from medieval times in Europe, like that of an executioner or something, who would have his face covered, like the undertaker or something. And obviously then he has to now make a proper buffet for the vultures and ravens and so on. So that is easy to digest, yes. So therefore, not that I have visited such burial, but I've had lots of uncles, Come to think of it, I had lots of uncles, yes. Hundreds of uncles, actually. I don't know how they were related, but nevertheless. And so they used to tell such stories, yes. But nevertheless, sky burial, yes, it's also very interesting because it's a whole procedure, I believe, that you have to take the body, of course, and by the time one has come to the cemetery for the burial, then no one knows, of course, that those days there were no particular comfortable roads or accessible roads. And it could be miles away or towns away or I don't know. And so, therefore, the body could have already transformed quite a lot. Yes. Fortunately, it was cold, so therefore, the body didn't really oxidize as much. But nevertheless, in short, simply visiting a cemetery, it's very, very interesting. For me, I have hardly been to any cemeteries, but nevertheless, I have visited quite a bit of hospitals, yes? Not for show, of course, as you have seen from documentaries and this and that, but mainly because of my father's condition, actually, health condition. And because of it, then I had to make a lot of visits to hospitals. And often, of course, it is a case where it's not, nothing goes according to the plan in terms of the organization of the appointment and so on. So therefore, you will end up being there at the hospital for various times, various length of time. So therefore, I'm sure each of you can remember those moments, those experiences. Some of you may be doctors, some of you may be nurses, so therefore you will have more intimate experiences. So therefore, yes, it's of course one could be visiting, one could be doctors and nurses, but after some time one could think this is just my profession, and therefore switch on and switch off and be completely sort of oblivious to it, Is the right word, oblivious? Yes, oblivious to it. But now in this case, Shantideva is, what is he trying to say? Why is he talking about these examples? Is because what we always say, awareness, awareness, yes. And so jhana is, how to say, if it's a mechanism, then it's a mechanism that's something that you cannot do away with, And so therefore, one of the very first steps is to become aware. And not necessarily to demean switching on and switching off. That's okay. It's great to have that skill, to be able to switch on and switch off. But at the same time, we may miss out a lot if we just continue to switch on and switch off. And so therefore, maybe begin to be aware, Yes, right now, my bile, my phlegm, my chi or whatever is somehow in balance, in balance. And therefore, how to say, it's worlds apart or something, Or we just don't even think about it, Doesn't even bother us. But in here, Shantideva was trying to say, because it's possible that there are moments where we could think, what is the real difference between that body and this body, And it's something so simple, something so subtle, yet it can, if you allow it, it can enter into our innermost sort of state of being, the way we think, the way we behave, and so on. And so therefore, then we may be able to somehow create imaginary bridge of some kind. A fly, using the hind legs to stroke their wings, even after they have landed on very interesting things. And then us, brushing or showering, how much of a difference is there, Because maybe in our mind, maybe we had very interesting thoughts too, yes. And so, likewise, if you think about it, or if you're a little bit more aware, not to demean oneself or others or anything at all, That's not the point. Putting down is one of the number one thing that Buddhism is simply not interested in. Yes? But it looks that way, it feels that way. It's so bitter at the beginning that it feels that way, but it is not. And we will know it the more we practice. If you're practicing only at a glance, maybe it will feel that, that's it, But if you practice long enough, if you read long enough, then we will understand that that's not the case. And so, from that point of view, then it says, now, why do we put so much effort, actually? Yes. Not to say we shouldn't, also, but it's good to be aware. It's good to be aware. It's interesting to be aware. The comparison, the comparison of when we are at a moment to do something, for example, in this case, something as liberating as practicing or meditating, then suddenly we can kind of become so resourceful to have excuses to postpone the practice, to postpone the practice of awareness, But when it comes to, getting lost, getting intoxicated, to get intoxicated, then we use almost spend the same amount of energy, if not more, to once again justify that it's all right. And all he's saying is, by something like, not saying you should be a vegetarian or something, but just look, and then probably that's all that is needed, unless we are mentally impaired or something, or we are, our visions are impaired or something. That's a different case. But if we are not, if we can just focus like that, then something interesting will come, even though that very practice or act is a bit bitter. And so therefore he goes in length, I think way before, I forget exactly starting from which verse. It's not the 49th, but way before. And all the way almost until the 70th or the late 60s verse. And so therefore then it focuses on now in terms of health. I said a few things. Then in terms of wealth, we can say the same thing, There's this so much input in being, well, I suppose, fame, I suppose. Well, I often say power, fortune, fame. This is just my own childish saying. But nevertheless, fame meaning that that we are somebody, that we are recognized, that we are credible. For that sake, then health, of course, is one thing. Someone is still very healthy and fit and sound of mind. And then wealth-wise, in terms of position or fortune, that someone is capable, and therefore there is respect, therefore there is recognition, and so on. And so, same thing again. How do I say it? Unless someone is really content, which is, even from a worldly point of view, it's also understood that way. Someone who's very content is supposed to be the symbol of being wealthy. Yes. And then from a spiritual point of view, even more, meaning that as long as there is that contentment, in Tibetan known as cho she. Cho is a sort of a very, even a colloquial Tibetan term. Cho meaning enough, cho. I think, isn't it? Cho. Cho. Anyway, you can look up in the dictionary, cha, the second CA. Well, nowadays there's Wiley, so it must be CHA. With the vowel O and then the stopper, ga, cho. It's something like saying, in a loose way, from my strange mind, is saying enough. Yes, knowing enough. Yeah. Knowing the limit, understanding the limit. Now we can go more and more. We can add more and more. She means recognizing the limit in a way, recognizing what is enough. Yeah. And so this case, as we said, in the case of health, recognizing that this is as good as it gets, within this conditioned world, at this age, if you have this kind of health, it's, I cannot ask for more, something like that. Yeah? Same thing with wealth. So it can be the position, can be the recognition, can be the health, all of these things. If you can recognize that, good. But it's a funny thing. We could just simply lose it. Get lost in it, because it's so intriguing. Because curiosity killed the cat. That sort of thing. So, well, how nice this health is. What if the other layer? And before you know it, you discovered something very strange. So, yes, okay. Now I should allow some questions, I think.
Karmapa, thank you for opportunity to ask the question. We think and talk a lot about reincarnation. I understand the concept of reincarnation. I believe in it in my mind, but nevertheless, how it's possible to really feel it in this incarnation before moment of death? Do you have any methods for this, if it's possible? You understand? No?
So, if I understood your question, maybe you repeat, yes.
I understand about reincarnation.
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 Reincarnation, yes.
In my mind.
In your mind, okay.
In my brain.
In your brain.
But I don't feel it.
No, you don't.
in deep of me.
Yes. So?
How I can feel it
Yes, okay.
in this incarnation before the moment of death.
Yes, okay.
It's possible.
Let's try, yes. Yes. If you like, you can take a seat, make yourself comfortable. Yes, reincarnation is a wonderful term. Yes. Wonderful word, nice word. It becomes nice, it becomes a nice word if we feel that there is no reincarnation, there is no tomorrow. Yeah. Then maybe this idea of reincarnation can be very relaxing. But otherwise, I think this idea of reincarnation, the word of it, the concept of it, really means nothing at all. It's just a composition of sounds, just a very intricate way of putting together. In a more sophisticated way, and therefore we feel, Did we really understand? We don't know, But somebody said something, We all feel like when there is a crisis or something, we all feel, we look at that one who's supposed to be so-called responsible, and there's this yearning to say something, do something, anything. And while we are fervently hoping for that, or either saying out loud, we kind of know that it's futile, or it's meaningless, it's hopeless, But nevertheless, we hope for that, and someone says, or something, and then we feel that at least somebody said something, Somebody either cried, or somebody laughed, or somebody, did something, yes. And so, from my point of view, I think it's similar, yes, this idea of reincarnation, which of course stems from the idea of there is causality, or all that, yes. And it's wonderful, yes. It's a way to say, breathe, It's a way to say, calm down, come now, come. And it's a breather, in short. Yeah? It's a breather, I think. Yeah? The idea of reincarnation, it's a breather. And so hopefully, if we relax, then hopefully we'll be able to see, I'm sorry, I was worried, I was concerned, I was scared, or some other reason, And then, of course, hopefully we'll be reciprocated by the very same person who said something like reincarnation or something, would equally understand. And therefore, then now we can talk about it, So it's kind of like a therapy, one could say, And so now I think such a simple thing, by saying, you just ran for miles to deliver a message or something, and I cannot understand your message because you are lacking. How to say? You're out of breath, and so calm down, or something like that. And so therefore, now that you are able to catch your breath, then you are able to deliver the message or something. So something as simple as that. Often it's a funny thing because unlike the other realms, like the realms of animals, or what we would say lower, but we don't know, maybe it's like that because or there, it doesn't matter. Yes. So other realms, visible ones like animals, and then so-called higher realms. Also, we don't know. But nevertheless, they don't have a real social order, or society like we do. Yeah. Yes. Thanks to works like that of Sir David Attenborough and so on, which I love, of course, or Discovery Channel or Animal Planet and so on, we can really talk about a good story, So we can say, oh, now this animal is thinking this, and in order to defend his or her territory is doing this, and this is the matriarch, and this is the victim, and it's feeling this way, and so on, and have it so convincing that that's it, Now I know about birds. Now I know about kangaroo or chipmunks, cockroaches, or I don't know, But I don't know actually. Yes, it looks that way. It looks like they seem to be somehow a simpler version of, human society, But I don't know actually. I really don't know what they're thinking. I really don't know what they're saying. It looks that way. It looks like as if they have a society, but I don't know. So therefore, it is safe to say that the human realm is the only realm where there is a sense of society. Yes? And so now, why did I say all this? Because when anything really practical, useful, technology, one could say even, such as saying the technology of, or the idea of reincarnation, which is a technology, not physical, but, wow, very, very powerful. Yes? It can become a technology, it can even become an institution, because it almost feels like as if it's a breakthrough, And so therefore it can easily, in short, it can be caught on, one could say, or it can become catchy. It can become popular, in short, very popular, very soon, And therefore, which is not a bad thing. I think probably we would almost wish that it would become extremely popular everywhere, Like how we say, oh, may Buddha Dharma flourish in all 10 directions of this universe and so on, you know. Good, you know. But just because it's popular, will it really be helpful? We don't know. Yeah. It's impossible to really to say it will become useful. It may be just popular, that's it. Nowadays, almost in any culture, they can use the word karma, and use it for cursing, use it for for this and that, you know. And I don't know, maybe that is still good enough, you know. But I think, can we extract something? Oh yes, that's the word. Extract something from this. We could say knowledge, you know, wisdom. Wow, you know. But very, very simple. Just through this concept of reincarnation within this lifetime, can we extract something meaningful before we die? Of course, you know. And the simplest thing is, like I already said, it gives us a breather, you know. And probably that's all we need, you know. In many occasions where the Dharma is referred to as a breather, yeah. That we have been so busy, you know, forget past or former lives or something, you know. Just say from the moment you can remember in this life till now, we have been busy. And suddenly this idea of reincarnation or this Dharma overall gives us a breather. Yes? And therefore it's very, very helpful. Yeah? And this we can realize, and through this realization, maybe we will be able to do something amazing. Yeah? So in that sense, yes. But now if you want to go sort of into the philosophical or analytical aspect of is there a reincarnation or not, it's up to our emotion, I feel. Yeah. Sometimes we may have very strong emotions that I wish there was no tomorrow, you know. Because all this while I kept hoping for a better tomorrow over and over, and nothing good came out of it, you know. So in this case, maybe the idea of reincarnation is very bad timing, you know. But for those of us, once again, who are, like I said, in the case of breather, if you feel too hurried, maybe it's a good thing. Yeah? But that's about it, yes. But now I'm not taking away this whole feeling that, okay, either there is or there isn't, black and white reincarnation. I'm not taking that away. I don't have the power to take that away. No one has, you know. But like I said, I will stand by and that to what I said just now, that it's according to our emotion. You know. Now we may be very familiar or somewhat familiar with the idea that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that, you know. I'm this old. I'm one of this many siblings, or I'm the firstborn, or the lastborn, or I don't know, numbers, numbers means basically very orderly, and basically a story or history, If you have a strong emotion towards that, then yes, accordingly we can talk about a very healthy reincarnation also. Yes. And that after this many lives, if I calculate according to my chart of how many recitations I did, how many good deeds I did, how many credible things I've done so far in this life, then, and if this is uninterrupted, we can have a whole pie, isn't it? Sort of chart, yes, and forecast a long and very interesting chart of reincarnation, yes. And then almost prophesies that even if you scale it down to the point where I have with this amount of merit compared, against all these odds, do I still have a chance to become awakened, and how many rebirths will it take? We can still create a chart. And is it wrong? Is it right? No, it's perfectly okay, It's perfectly okay to have that chart. But that's about it. Then let's say we have another sort of emotion. Not to say it's more educated or not, doesn't matter. That somehow we are not too interested in that linear story, And I've always had this suspicion. And every time I encounter a certain experience or encounter of a friend or a stranger or something, it almost feels like, what's the French term? Déjà vu, yes. But I felt that I saw this before, experienced this before, But anyway, whether that's it or not, that's not it, that's a different story. But the point is, there's this lingering suspicion, very strong suspicion. And it can be during the happiest moments or the saddest moments or just in between moments, the suspicion is still there, And it's not saying that this is a conspiracy or something, not in that sense. But somehow this all feels like a dream, And the more I try to think in an analytical way, it almost feels that, how to say, well, in short, we are not that different, yes. You may be there, I may be here, but nevertheless, it feels like as if I'm looking into a mirror or something, And from that point of view, then again, the idea of reincarnation again reflects accordingly. Yeah. And therefore, then we can begin to entertain ourselves with the idea that the more clarity that we have, or the more relaxed we are, the more calm we are, or the more meditative we are, then we can begin to see, in a very traditional way we say, oh, someone has seen, mandalas of Buddhas, myriads of Buddhas, in one instant, in one moment, or on a single grain of sand or something, or on the space of a quark or something. So then, that's the state of emotion we are in, yes, and therefore, then we can entertain the idea of reincarnation in a similar way, meaning that probably all of these people in this room are just my own manifestation, my own projection or something. And so therefore, in a way, the variation of how they look, how they behave, how they sound, how different a life they are living, it's an interesting thing actually, because they are living the life that I've always wanted to live somehow, without having to put effort to be reborn there or something, or to earn the credit to get there, without having to do anything. Each of these individuals are living my life, So therefore, maybe someone in this room is very naughty. Someone in this room is very shy. Someone in this room is maybe very brave. Someone in this room is very funny. Someone in this room is, very childish or something, And so, without having to be envious, of others, and therefore to fight for that position. Already all of these are living all those adventures which I've always wanted to live for me, sort of thing. Okay, that last bit for me sounds a little bit weird, but nevertheless, we can put it that way, there is no law. And therefore feel completely wholesome in a way, yes. Not to say, somebody is sick and, but it could be that way too, you never know. Sometimes, especially when we were small, we would wish that I had flu in order to escape homeworks or something, I wish I had caught a cold or something, or I wish I had a severe disease or something, which prevents me from studying at all, or something, Of course, as we age, that state changes, of course, but nevertheless, Because of course, let's say everyone in this room, beside yourself, all of us are heroes, let's say, are all superheroes, And it'll kind of get boring, for you to be us, sort of thing. But or the other way around, we are all villains, Again, boring, yes. But it's that interesting thing where, it's not just a mixture, and of coffee and milk and turn into something not really coffee-like or milk-like, something murky, not in that sense, but in each of their uniqueness, it's so intricate that even if you try to plan it, you cannot come up with such or comprehend such a, such planning. And so therefore, how to say, it's miraculous or magical. So like that, now if you look beyond this hall, and let's say to the first, within the boundary, let's say, and then outside, more outside, more outside, so like that, then it's amazing, Yeah. And without having to go through all those cycles, just like in the meditation, in an instant, the radiation of the syllable tam or hung or here or ah or whatever, and then just sort of transforms all of them into the very wisdom aspect, yes, without having to go through, all the journeys or something. Well, not to say journeys are bad, but it's just a way of speaking, So in this sense, yes, I would very much say that without having to die, or whatever that means, yes, we can understand the idea of reincarnation. Yeah. But I still like more than all that the idea of it being a breather. Yeah. Because probably that's very down to earth, grounded, and anyone can relate, Yeah. And from there, all sorts of possibilities come up. Yeah. Okay. Oh yes, first him, then him.
Good evening, Karmapa. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for guiding us together here. And I have a question on meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So, what meditation is generally is, and how can one develop one's attempts to meditate into a proper meditation? Thank you.
Yes, but I think this is exactly what we were talking about for the last few days. Because, like I said, we cannot box, and say, here is meditation, done, and now copy paste in terms of propagation of Buddha Dharma, No, it doesn't really work like that, I think, yes. So it has to come from something very, I don't know, maybe this is a more English way of saying earthly, Something, not necessarily say tangible, but something that grows with you, organic, And so that's why, if you have still questions about why Shantideva is talking about, I don't know, the skeletal aspect of the body, how unattractive it is, why do we still think about, is this a way to get our mind repulsed by the idea of romantic love, all that, yes. No, it's not that he didn't get love or something. He's just, I think, well versed with the everyday, yes, It's this everyday experience, yes. There's these small things, it's the details. What does that English say? Or devils in the details, yes. Devils in the detail. So that's it. So therefore, he's really sort of tuning into these very subtle things, because there is no samsara like the realm. I mean, like the avicii realm, or there is no manifestation of the Mara in the form of with horns and so on, or in a very cunning way of in suits and or something like that, or in a beautiful dress or something like that. No, it's all in these very, very simple details. Everyday lingering things that seems almost harmless, that from a social point of view, which would normally be put within the category of samsaric, but probably that's, I don't know, maybe for us it's okay to use it that way. But otherwise we can just simply say within everyday social context, yes, it's these simple things. To begin with, if you have siblings, then to fight for the simplest of things, I got the first kiss, or I got the last kiss, or I got scolded first, or the last, or I'm the strongest, or something, Okay, very, very simple. I mean, to a point we would say it's healthy. It's good for growth and all that. Yes, why not? But it's a matter of whether we are able to absorb that healthily or not. I guess, yes. If you're able to absorb that healthily, no worries. Then we don't need to look for a cave to meditate in. We don't need to look for, I don't know, a cemetery or a hospital or something, because we are sober enough, to understand. Yes. And then it is as good as saying you have, it's a very strange way of putting it, but you have meditation. Because meditation is not something you can have. It's the way you interact. So something along the line of, if you have a healthy outlook, that could be another term for meditation. So, as if there is that healthy way of looking lacking, then maybe we need to focus on these methods. Yeah. But like I said, it needs to start from the ground level. Yes. And so therefore it talks about all the everyday challenges which we feel that I know, but what is next? But that's where it's, in one way it's a good thing that it seems that I have interest, but on the other hand it could be a sign that I'm trying to sort of put all those so-called everyday experiences behind me and just not give due respect, and therefore it's a sign that you're not ready, Yeah. So therefore you must go back to the basics or something like that. So meditation. Of course we have, because of that idea of that user-friendly approach, we say meditation, which is a noun, right? Yes. But I think it should be, not that I'm saying it should be, but in Tibetan, and I don't know much Sanskrit also, but in Tibetan, most of these terms are not nouns actually. It's more of, it's not necessarily a verb, but it's active enough like a verb, to a point where we can say meditating, as if it's a verb. Yes. So therefore, it's alive. Yes. It's not a blood that we have, and then put it and kept it in a lab. I'm sure there will be one day a machine where we will be just able to simply scan something like, ultrasound or something like that. But without having to draw blood, we can just simply see how it's sort of circulating, It's more like that. So it's like watching, I've always said this term watching, yes? So it's watching how this blood circulates, watching how this, whatever this thing is circulating. Circulating. We can just label that as maybe samsara, Yeah. So within each pump, 300 times of circulation or plus or something like that, right? So therefore you just keep watching, And then through that watching, which one may feel like I'm just an observer, and I'm bound by my promise or something not to interfere, and so therefore I'm just a watcher, No, that watching itself is probably the most active thing to do. Of all the active things one can do without really interfering and changing the course of history or something like that, is watching, yes, or observation or awareness. And so watching what? Of course, through jhana, yes, through this active meditation. Then maybe we get somewhere. Yeah. Yes.
Дея Кармапа, скажи, пожалуйста, можем ли мы помочь животным или же другим живым существам из нижних миров в следующей жизни получить драгоценное человеческое рождение, или же каким-то образом позволить им развить связь с Дхармой?
Dear Karmapa,
No?
please tell, can we help animals or other beings from the lower worlds to receive human birth in the next life? And can we help them to develop a connection with the Dharma?
Sorry, the first part I didn't understand.
Can we help animals or other beings?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, the answer is yes, of course. We can help, And yes, we can do something, yes. Like, what did I say in the first day? Like a nudge. I don't know what's the Russian word for nudge. With the elbow. Push, maybe push. Yes, basically shake somebody. Somebody is asleep and is having a terrible dream, sleep paralysis, and then you are trying to say, wake up, or just gently saying, wake up, wake up. Yes, we can do that. Just push. Shake that person and say, wake up! There was, speaking of animals, there was wasp. Yes. And it, I don't know how it got injured, but nevertheless, it was, of course, I think his or her, her, right? Often most of them are females, I heard, due to Sir David Attenborough and so on. So, therefore, it was obviously sort of, all he could do was just lie on the floor and just move its legs, And there was nothing I could do, of course. Yes, but that was this morning. Yes. So all I could do was just make wishes, blow some air. Not that I have any Holy Spirit, to pass on, but nevertheless, I just made wishes, and that was my way of, yeah. Not much we can do, yes, but it goes a long way, yes. At least that thought is there. Yes. Without going too far, then it is possible, yes, to do something from our side, the so-called our side. And is there a guarantee? Now that's another question, yes. We would love, of course, to know that there is a guarantee that the pigeon I send will, deliver the message. Or yes, the text message I sent will be received, and not just received, but it says tick or read, and then from there, do we see three lines of dots going tick, 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 or says writing, and more again the peeling starts, Yes. There's no end to it, yes. Yeah. So it may be something similar to a long distance call or something, yes. But I like that English saying, it's the thought that counts, In this case, I think that's it. Wow, wonderful. Sometimes a very small child can show that, Of course, we have the opposite of that. A child can just see a bug and go, cha, And for those who are, superstitious Buddhists, they think, as if it's smacked you or something, yes. Anyway, there, from that age, then all the way, I don't know, when there is someone who expresses something like that, not because, I'm being filmed or I'm being watched or I'm an example and therefore, but really one could say almost not as instinctive, but sort of comes automatically, out of yourself. That you wish for the best, and and I think that's where it counts. I think, yes. And that is, I would say, just mainly focus on that for oneself and for others, and don't push too far. Of course, because there are wonderful analogies of Bodhisattvas are relentless, in terms of their pursuit to help others, that they will go after life like a stalker, and just so that they liberate, fly. And the sentient being is like, and just, of course, it has only this big of wings, It's not enough for it to, yes. No, we don't have to stress ourselves to that point, no. Right now, if we can express such kindness, already very, very great, yes. Just don't let that flame go away. Yeah. Okay. you, and then maybe we have to switch here. Yes. Otherwise.
Thank you. Dear Karmapa,
Well.
short question.
Okay.
What would you suggest would be the best way to develop compassion?
Can you pull your mala up? Okay. Hopefully that's already a very good one. Yeah. Or try not to think too much. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Now there to Mr. Love. Yes.
So I got a new name.
Your new refuge name or something.
Okay, Dorje Gyalwa Karmapa.
Okay.
So two questions. One sophisticated, the other one is silly.
You said it was one question.
Okay, one. The main one. What is the nature of mantra? Why do we chant mantras? Why some mantras can heal, some can purify, can take you to Devachan, or how does it work? What is the nature of mantra?
And the second one?
The silly one is about the root text. So when reading the root text, Drukpa Kunle was penetrating my mind.
Oh.
And
oh no.
And I was thinking maybe through the lens of Drukpa Kunle it would be easier to explain the filth and the lust that is written in the Shantideva's text that you read in Tibetan today. So yeah, these are the two questions.
No, but I didn't understand the last question.
Have you heard of Drukpa Kunle?
Here, there, yes.
Yeah. So, do you think that the story of Drukpa Kunle could be applied to the chapter, to the lines of the 8th chapter of Shantideva, to explain the lust and filth that is described?
Okay. Sure. Yes. Anyway, the mantra. No. Thank goodness I asked what was the second question. Anyway, yes, yes, mantra seems to play a heavy role or huge role in, I guess, mostly in mantrayana, as we say, which is basically, I think, another term for where we, in some ways, have overrated or underrated, I don't know, of Vajrayana. So yes, mantra seems to play a huge role, and in some ways it's like sort of knowing the right name or knowing the right combination for a safe or something like that, So if you know the right code, that's it, simple, But I kind of like the idea of the right name in a way. But probably this is just more to do with my own emotion or my emotional way of thinking. But probably I will try to say something similar to what I said earlier about how I try to explain the idea of reincarnation. So probably it's similar, It's a tool for us in general to distract ourselves from all kinds of, verbal, chats, chattering, and mental also, yes, because we are constantly thinking, and after some time we have thought too much that it's not possible for it to keep it there, and it's like an atomic bomb, it must escape. And it comes out from one place, which is from here, And of course, if the thought that was produced is something hopefully mild, possible, meaningful, then if it comes out, it's okay, yes. But like how it is explained here, that the nature of, it says the nature of society, it says jikten, meaning the world or society, that the nature is such that, yes, we are a society, we can only survive, we can only live, we can only thrive through this interaction. And so, therefore, it seems like it's inevitable, that we have to mingle, sort of thing. And so, therefore, it's almost like, it feels like there's no escape. So it's similar, in terms of, we can talk about, the good days, the good times, when, or in the Himalayas, people were able to go to no man's land and meditate, and maybe find suitable places, where maybe they find some edible twigs or berries or something to nourish themselves, or nettle or this whatnot. But nowadays it feels like there is no condition, But probably that's how it always was like, even in the past. So, yes. So we are in this sort of strange locked state, So, now what was I talking about that? Hey, what? Mantra. Yeah, no, but why did I jump all the way? Anyway, it'll come back to me. Right. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, we seem to be in this sort of state where we can neither go forward nor backward. We are sort of stuck, sort of state. Yes. Well, that's it. We are stuck. Actually, what was I saying before that? Sorry? Intermingle, yeah. Yes. Yes. Nope. It's just, I'm stuck. Yes. Yeah, that's there. Sorry? Sorry? Oh yeah, that's a little bit closer. Yes. Yes. Yeah, we could be more or less in the same situation, that now, even though we want to look for no man's land or no person's land, it's not existing. And we have to kind of make do with what we can find. But anyway, that's not what I was going for. Probably now I should just jump to Rupa Kunlik now. But in short, mantra is good. Yes. Mantra is very, very good. Yes. Just keep reciting. Yes, it's similar to what I said in terms of it's a breather sort of thing, but in this case, probably it's a very special technique of this meditation or meditating, and so therefore it's not so much I think the case where if you recite enough something will happen, because often it is portrayed that way, recite 100,000 times this will happen, 1,000,000 times this will happen, 1,000,000,000 times this will happen. It's not a lie, of course. Yes. If we are well versed with I don't know, meditation or something, somewhat advanced, maybe to them it kind of works that way. It's so logical, It's like saying, oh, this much gram, this much of a liquid, it's like a formula, and done. Yes. But in our case, it's like doing it for the first time, so therefore there will be lots of errors. Yes. So instead of being too, distracted by that, mainly not because of its success, but mainly because of its failure and sort of fluke success and real failures, we will get tired maybe very soon. So in short, probably it's more helpful to think that, again, similar to a breather, and then you once again upkeep that attitude and then just keep reciting. And it's similar to what I said about reading, you just keep reciting, and it becomes a good way to distract oneself from other activities. Yeah. Yes. I mean, in Tibet, we used to have teachers who would advise, for Tibetans of course, those days, is that they used to say, really, not, first of all, it's good that you're chanting, that you're reciting the mantras, and turning the wheel and so on. But then now recite it here, not just here, So that's the same thing, because back in the day, I remember there used to be many of those, well, we didn't really have benches, but nevertheless there used to be a certain sort of like sunbathing spots, and then quite a number of the elderly would join there in the late afternoon with their prayer beads and their prayer wheels, and they come together and then they are reciting, but then they are talking about all the gossip of the village. And of course, nothing as exciting as now, of course, but nevertheless, for them, I think it was a wonderful time pass, And then, of course, the sun sets quite early, of course, and then that was it, the end of the group meditation. Anyway, that's that. And in terms of Drupa Kunlek, I don't know what he would say about Shantideva or his works. I'm sure he would have something interesting to say if it's going to benefit us. Meaning, if it is going to make us, if it's going to cause some sort of awakening for the audience, then he might, yes. Because they are both very cool characters. Yes. They are masters of their craft, and so therefore they can, how to say, come up with all kinds of comedies, or what would seem like tragedy also. Yes, they can perform any action and make it extremely elevating, inspiring. Yes. Particularly, my favorite part was where I believe there was one passage leading to Lhasa or to Tsopu, I don't know where, back in Tibet, of course. And it was during the time of, I don't know which century. I'm a terrible historian, but nevertheless, there was one sort of boulder or something, and on top, someone had carved, because someone very, and said 4 lines, and at the end of each line, probably it's just a rumor, I don't know, but nevertheless, I like the story. And at the end of each of the line, it says me, 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 in English. But in Tibetan, it says nga, 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 means, me. And before that, now what is said in each line, it began by saying, whichever of the 4 directions you visit, you will always find me. Maybe it was a very what you call philosophical, being very, very philosophical about it, But nevertheless, the rumor is that then that was referred to the 8th Karmapa, the most learned of all. And then Drupakunle happened to pass by that boulder, and he thought, and soon enough, I don't know if anybody saw, but I'm just imagining, I'm sure he found his way to crawl or climb up the... And then he just put underneath each of the letter nga, he put the vowel, the Tibetan vowel u, underneath. U, 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 under each nga. So, so therefore it read, basically, to whichever of the 4 directions you will see me crying. And so it was, to me it was beautiful, yes. So, yes, who knows, maybe he will pull up something like that, yes, in this case. Yeah. Yeah. There was one yes with both the hands raised. Okay, now, it's almost 7. It's dinner. That was for the last day during the initiation of Chenjezik, I thought. Or people are leaving by then. Okay, that's not whisper. Yes.
Hello, dear Karmapa.
Hello.
A little bit nervous, I'm so sorry. I received a refuge, and it was the beginning of my journey in the Karma Kagyu line. And I have a simple question. I would be grateful, if you share a look at the first steps on the way to Dharma with me.
In which way? Sorry.
First steps.
Yes, of Dharma.
Yeah. Because I reading Shantideva.
Yes.
I read the mantra.
Yes.
I speaking with Sangha, but it's very, very hard.
So you're asking, what are the first steps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes. Probably there are sort of the ideal sort of circumstances that we could wish for in order to take our very first, one could say, baby steps in Dharma. Yes, but I think that's kind of achieved. I mean, from our general way of looking, because first of all, we have this wonderful condition, yes, what we would call precious human body, yes, and so therefore already the first step and probably the best step is already taken. And often that's the hardest thing to do, the very first step, And so now, would we like to use the idea of rebirth and to say to oneself, well done, or we would just simply be happy that I'm here, Yeah. Because now the second step, third step, it's much easier. To get to where we are, it's the hardest, yes. And to recognize that this is where I am is the hardest thing to do, I think. Yeah. Because otherwise, we are always thinking, how I wish I was there, how I wish I was there, Like I said earlier about the reincarnation, yes. You are, let's say, you become a hero, but then you're not satisfied there. And it's saying is almost like, once you become a hero, you want to. Its next step is to become a villain or something, And then once you're there again, it's the other way. So, it just keeps going like that. So, knowing that, first of all, way before knowing, you are there already. Yes. And the second step, or I don't know if it's the second step, but already to recognize that you are there, you are here, you know, you have arrived. Probably that's very, very important. Yeah. Then now anything is possible. Yeah. From here, then we can dream all sorts of dreams. Yeah. And anything is possible, provided that we don't, at the moment, forget that we have arrived. Yes. Then now small obstacles will come, you know, maybe health issues, family issues, financial issues, all sorts of things will come. But it won't even be a bother, because you kind of have this, even if it's a baby level of contentment, it's already a great one, because you are kind of content. You recognize where you are, you know. So now you will not be wasting your energy hopping from one place to another. And so therefore, the most important step has taken. Okay. Then there was, yes, at the center.
Sanjay Karmapa, thank you so much for your teachings. I actually would like to go back to 2023 with you,
Okay.
where I asked you a few questions and you always answered with yes at the end. And there's one question that has stuck with me because your answer, my question referred to blessing. It was a closed question because there were so many. And I asked, what actually happens when we receive blessing? And as we all supposedly practice the Mantrayana and the Vajrayana, I think it might be helpful to better understand how this works. When we get blessing from a teacher, or we see a tanka or a book or hear a quote and something resonates with us. And I asked at the time, is it correct that when we get blessing, we are somehow connected to the Dharmakaya? And you said, yes.
Yes.
And I wonder, what is this? So could you please elaborate a bit on how blessing works for us?
Yes.
Dorje.
Thank you. So, blessing, yes. Contamination, germination, I don't know. It's a very, very strange thing. There are moments where I feel like I know exactly what it is, and it's very easy for me to explain. But then there are moments where I feel that it just doesn't make sense at all, you know. But if you put it in a probably practical term, then maybe it's something similar to, well, I think here actually, obviously, of course, how could I forget? Obviously, already here, we are kind of, if we are interested in the idea of blessing, then we are already talking about how to prepare for that, how to gain blessing, or how to pass blessing, or something like that, you know, already by talking about these chapters. Yeah. And so the way it works, I think, is something similar to how well, it's possible to some of us that we feel that either maybe it can be our parents or parent figures or certain friends, that we feel that that person is always there for me, you know, no matter what. There's something similar to that, I think. Yeah. And in order to feel that, I think it's not, probably it can be coming from a desperate wish that, I wish somebody was there for me, you know. But probably that's not really it, you know. But it's more of just really genuinely, without almost doubt, knowing that no matter what I did, or how I am, or what kind of background I come from, this person knows me through and through. And for some reason, that person is always there for me, you know. It doesn't seem to affect him or her at all about my mood, my changes, nothing, you know. Nothing seems to disturb that person, and it's always there. And it's not because that person is always there in a sort of very dramatic way, you know, of saying, oh, I'm always there for you, and hugging and caressing you and feeding you and all that. No, it's most of the time it's somebody who is probably very stoic-like person, you know, but not necessarily stoic. So I think this description of that person, I think, is similar to how it is being described here, in terms of saying, not in any way by saying don't mingle, or mingling with the society is not helpful, could even be harmful, therefore keep your distance, all that. We could say, excuse me, but maybe we are forgetting the Bodhisattva attitude or something towards sentient beings, you know. Obviously, that's never the case. One is actually keeping distance, or just interacting, what is the saying, at the right time, at the right place, you know. And that's it. Not going any further than that. And so therefore, it almost seems like a preparation to become that friend, you know. So that one is, without having to portray that I'm here for you, I'm here for all you sentient beings, or something like that. The truth is that person is there for you, you know, or he or she or it or whatever it is, you know, is there for you because it's not interested in any other meaningless things, you know, to put it very bluntly. You know. Not that he or she is not capable of understanding, you know, social issues, I don't know, contemporary trends, or, you know, of various kinds. It's not that they are not out of date or something like that. But they're just the kind of people who have been there, done that, you know, and kind of tired in a way, you know, but nevertheless has not given up. Yes, and so therefore, only if I want to say you have a similar interest, or when you are ripe, when you're ready, it's always there. But even way before, whether you're ready or not, that person is always there. It's just that it may not express so dramatically in terms of he or she is there for you, you know. And now that kind of, whether we call it feeling or love or care, maybe we can call that blessing, you know. Without touching too much, going too much, which will go here, of course, because now this chapter is preparing for us to develop various samadhis, of course. Samadhis meaning various kinds of, power of concentration, one could say. So maybe the first step of the power of concentration is to not be distracted by these busyness, as I said in Tibetan yesterday, do zi, And so therefore then now they are focusing on, forget the rest. First thing is not to concentrate on not getting distracted by that. Yes? And it has great blessing. Yes? Yeah. And so now when such person comes near you or something like that, either the aura is such that maybe you don't even notice that person is there, Or it could be the other way around, that is very visible and it somehow brings a sense of calmness, peace, and so on. So similarly, it's also possible for someone who is very, very disturbed, very, very disturbed, but let's say at a breaking point maybe. When someone enters the room or passes by anyone, again you can feel something, You can feel something cold or something. You yourself feel uneasy, awkward, don't know how to behave. Something is there, So yes, now we call that blessing, I guess. But I don't know. In Tibetan, of course, we have words like chinlab. In Sanskrit, what is it? Abhisheka, I think. Huh? Adhisthana. So it's similar to what I feel that is something similar to what I said either yesterday or the day before about credibility. When we're talking about merit, yes, it's something there. The merit is such that you just cannot deny. Like the 5 friends of Siddhartha, his so-called best friends, or childhood friends. Basically, they were friends, come bodyguard, come mates, when they were studying also. So, of course, now that this spoiled brat of a prince left the palace and to do something because obviously, children who, what do you call, I'm sure there's an English term for children without siblings. Only child, yes, only child. Often they have that kind of attitude where, they have no fear, basically, yes. So therefore, they tend to become a little bit spoiled also. So then, everybody must have thought, oh, he's going through a trip, And so, but of course, the king or the father of Siddhartha sent the 5 friends to follow him. And so obviously whether they want to or they didn't want to, it was their calling or it was that's their duty, that's their life duty. And when it's something like that, sometimes you have less doubts because you know that that's your life, There's no problem of options. Anyway, that's not the topic. The point is then, after 6 years of ascetic life, and then suddenly when he left, of course, that's when all 5 of them were secretly thinking, spoiled brat, right? And they were thinking, you know. But when he actually stood up and left, that's when they all said, that's what I was thinking. And then everybody was sort of agreeing to that, you know. And so they really thought he's a sort of a lost case. But doesn't matter. Anyway, he's the sole heir, so eventually he will go back to the palace, you know, when he realizes that this trip was just a trip. But, of course, then under the Bodhi tree, then he became enlightened. Then, of course, rumors were that of course, no, something happened, yes. But nevertheless, they had, I think, some reservation, I think. And so therefore they all made an agreement that the rumor was there that he's coming to meet his friends or something. Because, I don't know, maybe it's tradition or maybe after all, he wanted to share what he learned, Siddhartha, to his friends or something. So anyway, the news came that he was coming towards them, so then they made a pact that they will not stand up when he comes, to show lack of respect, because he broke his promise. Yes. But the merit of Siddhartha, or by now Shakyamuni, was such that when he came, none of them could just sit there, They just, for whatever reason, they just felt like they had to stand up. Yes. And they all just got up. And it was not because of fear or not because of awkwardness, maybe a bit of awkwardness, I suppose, I don't know. But for certain, there was no doubt. Yes, they just felt like I need to get up now. So merit is something like that. Merit, blessing. Again, we cannot really sort of box them. Yes, yeah. It all comes down to that. Without merit, there's no blessing. Without meditation, there's no blessing, So it's sort of so organic, actually. Yeah. But does it work? Yes, it works. Yes. So much so that sometimes then it works as if such blessing is being rubbed off, passed on, germinated, and so on. Yes, it feels that way. Yeah. So therefore, we say that, for example, like Lumbini or Kushinagar or Bodh Gaya or places like that are very, very sacred. Yes, and now we can think from that boxed state of mind and think that extract blessings out of the place, do this and do that, but it doesn't really work that way also. Yeah. I think the main thing, what it does is that when you're there, or if you happen to be passing by such places, I think the main thing that it does is because of its blessing, then your mind is calm, or calmer than usual. Yeah. And therefore you can think more clearly, and from that position then maybe closer to disillusionment of things, One could think, after Bodh Gaya I got divorced, After Bodh Gaya I got cancer, or I lost my leg or something. I lost my favorite toe, or something like that. Yes, It's possible. Yes. Of all the toes or fingers, there's that one that I really love, you know. So, yes. Clarity can come, I think, because of being within such environment. Because why? Because it's not like saying, oh, such Buddha said, let there be blessing in this era, you know, and so on. But it's because I think I said it in the first day or second day that from the Buddha or Bodhisattva's point of view, they are in such a state that to them there is no real comparison or there is no differentiation between saying, okay, this is me and I'm here in Bodh Gaya and here's a tree, here's a twig, here's a, I don't know, rock and so on. And from this moment onwards, let this be Bodh Gaya, you know. Nothing of the sort at all. It just, it's at the same time, it's not a case where to have their circuits are sort of misaligned or something, and therefore they have a very strange way to recognize things or something like that, no? They understand everything very clearly, yet at the same time, to them, there's no difference at all. And now because of that, then wherever they go, or whatever they do, whatever they say, there is such merit, I think. Yeah. So, that's okay. So then now, last question, or yes?
Dear Karmapa, thank you so much for your teachings. And yesterday you've been talking a lot about renunciation. And we talked with some friends about the concept of renunciation. Mm-hmm. So there is a request. Could you please explain more how you perceive the subject of renunciation, and maybe how we could apply the idea of renunciation to today's verses? Is there any correlation of the subject and of renunciation and the idea of today's verses?
Yes, I think it's the second chapter of Bodhicaryavatara, basically the chapter of purification, and there it's not trying to, like I said, demean or paint a very wrong picture or a black, basically wrong, probably that's the right word, wrong picture of life, you know, because I'm so depressed, and so therefore Shantideva was so depressed that he painted this whole world as a sad world or something, you know, not in that sense. And so, in order to sort of sober up, one could say, then he is trying to basically share his experience of what it is like if one is completely intoxicated, and even when one is sobering up, how it still looks, you know. And so therefore, when one is in that state, and if your friends or your company is in that state, there is simply no reason to have any kind of faith or trust, you know, because one doesn't even know what one is doing. Yes. So in short, it's the sort of realization of that. So therefore it's not adding anything on something. And so now realizing this, recognizing this, embracing this, opening your heart to this or your mind to this, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Yeah. To say that to all general humankind is like this, probably it's easy. Yes. But probably that's a good place to start, Then from there to say maybe these Westerners are not easy, or from the other way around, oh, these Tibetans are not easy, It's still acceptable, Yeah. But then now you narrow it down and make that circle smaller and smaller and smaller. Then it basically gets personal, yes, me and mine, yes. So it's starting from all the things that we thought is mine, and then to finally, I don't know if you will ever get that far, but very close, yes, personal. Yes, so it's difficult to accept, yes. We all think that, oh, I'm not good, I'm like this, like that, but if there's a so-called judgment, that if there's such a moment, then all that sort of, self-degrading concepts that we have suddenly disappears, and suddenly it will become pristine and clean, and become untouchable sort of thing. Yeah. So it's very, very strange. Yes. So therefore one needs to be very, very tactful. We cannot really sort of announce and say, I'm coming for you, because then the klesha or disturbing emotions is very smart. You can very easily sort of find ways to justify, prepare, and everything. Yes, but all the while, actually, it's a very funny thing. It's sort of very creatively and with great freedom. It's sort of like someone else took your place, sort of thing, And you were under this hallucination that someone was you, sort of thing. It's funny. So therefore, yes, initially we have to be a little bit gentle so that the disturbing emotion hardly recognizes the things that it's for its own benefit, And like that, then you get to know a little bit of this disturbing emotions' friends, make friends with them, and gain some trust of their confidence, And then one day you just attack, and leave no corner, sort of thing. Yeah. And then you completely topple. Yeah. So therefore, recognizing where we are is very, very important. Yes. We can be very, very emotional. Yes. But just like just like therapy, just like medication, it is bitter there. Yes. And it's also very tricky. Also. Yes. And although one may be going in the right direction after all the bitterness, but then suddenly, again it finds a way to escape, go back to square one. So therefore, it is tricky. But once you manage that first step, then it's much, much easier. Because then you're dealing with things that are sort of, it's like saying, now you have discarded all the thieves and, from the house, and now all you have to do is just protect against outsiders, Right now it's sort of like home ministry problem. There's an infiltration problem. But afterwards, then it's much easier, because then now you only have to deal with foreign things, So it's more logical. The inner one is very, very difficult. Yeah. Okay, then way past your dinner, so now we will do the Chinese meditation.